Hey there, I'm really glad you clicked on this explainer. If you're listening to this right now, do me a quick favor. Just take a deep, comforting breath with me. Go on. I'll wait. Better? Today, we are creating a safe, completely judgment-free zone to talk about the massive weight you're carrying as a student. You know, we constantly hear about how to score higher, study longer, and beat the competition, but we almost never talk about the silent, heavy toll it takes on you. Well, today, we're changing that. We're going to dive into the real science behind exam stress and, more importantly, figure out how to actually handle it. So let's kick things off with a super honest question, and I want you to really think about it. Do you feel like you are literally drowning in your syllabus? Like, are you waking up at 5 a.m., staring at thousands of pages of NCRT books or those endless coaching modules, and just feeling numb? Like there's zero curiosity left, no drive, just this crushing exhaustion? If that sounds exactly like your morning routine, please hear this. You are not failing. You are just completely overwhelmed. You might actually have this really harsh voice in your head right now. You know the one. It's whispering, I'm gonna fail. I'm just not smart enough. Literally, everyone else is light years ahead of me. And look, when you're carrying the weight of family expectations and the wild competition of exams like NEET, JEE, or UPSC, that inner critic gets really, really loud. But I promise you, you are absolutely not alone in hearing it. Get this. Research shows that up to 60% of students face severe anxiety in these high-pressure educational environments. Think about that for a second. That means 6 out of 10 people in your classroom are struggling with the exact same invisible weight you are. It totally proves that this exhaustion you're feeling, it's a structural issue with our high-stakes, rote-learning system. It is absolutely not a personal flaw. The system is heavy, you are not weak. Now, here's a pretty wild science fact. Your panic isn't actually a weakness at all. It's literally just your biology trying to protect you. Scientists call this the amygdala hijack. Deep inside your brain, there's this tiny almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. And when it looks at your upcoming exam, it reacts like you're being chased by a wild tiger. It hits the panic button, triggering a rapid fight-or-flight response that completely bypasses your logic and reasoning. Let's break down exactly what's happening when that alarm goes off in the exam hall. First, the threat is detected. Second, your brain literally reroutes blood flow and glucose away from your prefrontal cortex, which, is the part you actually need for memory and logic, and sends it straight to your muscles so you can run away. Third, the whole system just crashes. It's exactly like opening way too many heavy software programs on an old laptop. Your brain just blanks on information you knew perfectly well at 11 p.m. last night. You can't just think your way out of it because your thinking brain is essentially offline. And this whole biological crash perfectly explains the huge difference between just needing a nap and experiencing true burnout. See, normal tiredness, that goes away after a good night's sleep. But burnout, that's this persistent emotional numbness and exhaustion that sticks around even after you rest. It usually comes from those poorly designed, nonstop study schedules, the 6 a.m. to midnight grinds, that leave zero room for your brain to actually recover. Burnout is basically your body screaming that it's been pushed way past its limits. Okay, so how do we actually reboot our minds when the system crashes right in the middle of a mock test? Well, since we can't use logic, we have to use our senses. It's called a sensory anchoring, and it gives you the power to snatch the steering wheel back from your amygdala. You're physically telling your nervous system, hey, the threat is gone, we are safe to think again. A super popular way to do this in clinical psychology is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. I want you to physically slow down with me for a second, and imagine trying this next time the panic hits. Look around and find 5 specific things you can see, like maybe a scratch on your desk. Touch 4 things. Feel the exact texture of your pen. Listen for 3 things, like the hum of the ceiling fan. Notice 2 things you can smell and 1 thing you can taste. Grounding your senses like this literally yanks your brain out of its catastrophic doom spiral and anchors you safely in the present moment. And we can level this up even further with box breathing. This is honestly incredible because fMRI brain scans have proven that slow, deep breathing produces a measurable drop in amygdala activity. In just a couple of minutes, this technique signals your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the chill-out part of your body, to step in and hit the brakes on that frantic fight-or-flight response. It's known as the 4-4-4-4 technique. Basically, you inhale for 4 seconds, hold that breath for 4, exhale for 4, and hold again for 4. And the best part? You can do this totally discreetly right at your exam desk. No one even has to know. Just doing 4 to 6 cycles of this controlled breathing gives your mind a desperately needed distraction from anxious thoughts, and it actually lowers your baseline panic level so you can finally recall what you studied. Now, beyond the exam hall, we really need to protect our daily energy. First up, pacing yourself with the Pomodoro technique, studying for 45 to 50 minutes and then forcing yourself to take a 10 to 15-minute break is an absolute game changer. Also, decide tomorrow's topics today. This prevents decision fatigue. When you wake up, your brain should be focused on learning, not wasting energy figuring out what to learn. Oh, and please, dial back the social media. Scrolling through everyone else's highlight reels is just going to feed your anxiety and totally steal your peace. All right, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Should you pull an all-nighter just to cram the rest of the syllabus? Look, I know the temptation is huge. When you feel like you're falling behind, taking a break feels like an actual crime, right? And sleep? Sleep feels like a luxury you just can't afford. You tell yourself, if I just chug some coffee and stay up till 3 a.m., I can finally finish this unit. But here is the absolute truth. Sleep is a core study tool, not a luxury. In fact, getting less than 6 hours of sleep consistently impairs your cognitive performance so much, it's actually equivalent to being legally drunk. Seriously, no study session is worth that trade-off. Deep sleep is the exact time your brain takes all that hard work from the day and locks it into your long-term memory. If you aren't sleeping, you are studying, sure, but you definitely aren't retaining. Just look at these stark numbers from recent university studies. They really speak for themselves. Look at that massive drop in attention span. Sacrificing your 7 to 9 hours of sleep plummets your focus from a solid 87% all the way down to 64%. Your working memory actually shrinks. And maybe most surprisingly, average grades drop from a 3.56 to a 2.34 when you aren't resting properly. To put it simply, rest is the essential time your brain chemicals and hormones need to recharge. Your prefrontal cortex, again, the part of the brain you desperately need to solve complex problems in physics, chemistry, or math, is severely handicapped by sleep deprivation. Simply taking the time to sleep literally makes you a smarter, more capable problem solver the next day. It's basically a cheat code for studying. As we wrap up this explainer, I just want to remind you of a fundamental truth, friend to friend. Marks do not define your worth. Never have, never will. Your health is not separate from your exam prep. It is the entire foundation of it. This exam, no matter how huge it feels right now, is just one single chapter in your very long, beautiful story. It is not the whole book. And hey, it is completely okay. Actually, it's highly encouraged to reach out to trusted mentors, parents, or friends when things feel too heavy. You are so much stronger and infinitely more valuable than a single test score. So I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Are you ready to prioritize your own well-being and steady progress over this idea of impossible perfection? Tonight, will you give yourself the grace to just close the books, get some real rest, and come back stronger tomorrow? Thank you so much for spending this time with me. You've totally got this, but more importantly, you've got yourself. Take care.